Well, boys, we had a quite an exciting weekend. Chelsea scored a goal. That's big. Liverpool scored a handful of goals, you could say, and there was a last second winner in one of the matches. We should have a good one tonight. This is Red Card Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you listen from. Thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League from three friends who support different clubs. My name is James. I support Arsenal. With me tonight, that's Brad. He supports Chelsea. And down below, that is Sean. He supports Tottenham Hotspurs. Gentlemen, hello. How are we doing today? What's going on?
Fantastic. Let's go.
Yep. Feeling encouraged.
Interesting. Brad is fantastic. Okay. All right. We'll have to figure out why Brad's feeling fantastic here in a minute. But before,
how about you, Mr. James?
Oh,
how are you feeling?
I'm hyped. I'm real hyped. Before we get into why I'm hyped, let's shamelessly beg for subscriptions. And if you're here and you're new and you haven't hit that subscribe button, we would love it if you hit the sub button, ring the sub notification bell so you're alerted to whenever we drop new episodes. If you're on one of our podcast sites, and I actually uploaded it this time and it's on time, we'd appreciate it if you hit it with a follow, rate it 5 stars if you're on Apple Podcasts or your platform so allows. And just leave a comment in YouTube, and we'd love to hear from you guys because we do like to get into your comments. And we've got one tonight that we're going to get into. So tonight what we're doing, we got a comment from Joel that we want to talk about. We'll look at the Premier League table and then review all of the Premier League matches from match week 26. You guys ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it. So Joel's comment was about the League Cup final. Wanted to just get him on record here about what his prediction was specifically. He said, "My head told me 2-3 for Man U, but I'm over the cup final already. This is purely the start of a new era for Newcastle. Man U were better, no complaints at all. Fans were unbelievable as always. Aim now is the top 6 finish, which will be very tough. Feeling good." So Joel, I think he's got a good. He's looking at this the right way, I think.
That's the right mindset. Yep.
Yeah. So I think we can, for the time being, I think we can root for Newcastle. Like neutral fans can root for Newcastle because they've been in the basement, in the doldrums for so long. But here in a couple of years, they might slowly approach Manchester City levels, and neutrals won't be able to root for them.
Yeah.
Slowly. Apparently, they're going to have a Chelsea window. £250 million war chest coming. This might be ending in 2 months. So
okay,
let's cheer for Newcastle.
But the thing about, I don't expect Newcastle to spend £250 million on 2 players. It's different if you spend £250 million on 7 or 8 players. If you spend it on 2 players like Chelsea does, then okay, you guys signed Enzo Fernandez for 130 and Mykhailo Mudryk for 100 million. So don't raise your eyebrows at me.
Oh! You're putting all of you're changing it to euros and you're putting all of the bonuses already in there. Okay.
But yeah, that's the value of the contract.
All right, Brad. I'm just saying. I'm sorry. Well, the Enzo Fernandez is 130. Like, don't get it twisted. That's just 130, and Mykhailo Mudryk is 70 million euros. I apologize.
Yes.
200 million on 2 players. I apologize. My bad. Loyal listeners, please forgive me.
Or maybe they're doing city math, like whatever they did with Holland, where nobody actually knows how much they paid for him.
Well, yes.
Where they paid 250 million for 1 player.
I don't think it was quite that much, but they certainly paid a lot for
Who knows?
Erling Haaland. Yeah. So, but like I said, I think that's the right mindset to have, especially after. I mean, it's no. There's no shame in losing to Manchester United at a cup final. So, all right, let's dig in here. So, I think we will quickly pull up the league table here so we get everybody on the same page about what is taking place here in the Premier League. So still in first position, still a 5-point lead is Arsenal. City are in second. Manchester United are firmly in third. They have a game in hand against City that if they win it, they would be 6 points behind City. So probably not in the title race anymore. Had this Liverpool result gone differently for them, you might make a shot for it. But it seems like they're probably a little too far now. Tottenham are in sole position of fourth at the moment, though fifth place Liverpool and sixth place Newcastle, with their games in hand, can surpass them. Fulham are in seventh. Brighton and Hove Albion are in eighth. Brentford are in ninth. In 10th is still Chelsea. So what did you say? What was your feeling a minute ago, Brad? You were excited?
Fantastic.
Oh, fantastic. 10th is that fantastic feeling.
Yes.
11th is Aston Villa, equal to points with 10th place Chelsea. Worse goal difference, though. 12th is Crystal Palace. They're just vibing. Wolverhampton Wanderers are up to 13th. So
how'd they get there?
Things are looking good. Nottingham Forest are in 14th. They're down to 14th, technically. Leicester are slipped to 15th. West Ham United are in 16th. Leeds are still in 17th, though just barely on goal difference. They are tied on points at 22 with 18th place Everton. 19th place Southampton. Hey, they got out of 20th. Well done, Southampton. They are no longer last place. That is reserved for 20th place Bournemouth, who had a heartbreaking defeat at the weekend. So that's what the league table looks like. Specific results are as follows. So match week 26 included two midweek games. It was Arsenal-Everton and Liverpool-Wolves. Arsenal beat Everton 4-0. Liverpool beat Wolves 2-0. We fast forward to the weekend. The weekend kicked off Saturday morning with Manchester City hosting Newcastle United. City are the 2-0 winners. Arsenal-Bournemouth. Arsenal win 3-2. Arsenal have a literal last-second winner. I think it wasn't technically the last kick of the game, but it was damn near. I think Brentford were allowed to kick the ball off, and then the whistle blew.
You mean Bournemouth?
Yes. What did I say?
Brentford,
whatever, man. You know what I mean. Aston Villa beat Palace 1-0. Brighton and Hove Albion thrash West Ham United 4-0. Chelsea finally get a win. They beat Leeds 1-0. Very convincing 1-0 victory from Chelsea. Wolves Wolves get the shock 1-0 victory over Spurs. That's not going to be good for Antonio Conte and his men as they fight for fourth. Southampton beat Leicester 1-0 in one of the relegation 18-pointers. Forest and Everton play to a 2-2 draw in another relegation rumble. And then the big one, Sunday, was 1-0 at halftime for Liverpool. And then Liverpool proceeded to score 6 goals in the second half and win the game 7-0. That is Manchester United's worst. It's tied for Manchester United's worst ever loss in their history. So they've had, I think that's the 4th time that they've lost 7-0, if I'm remembering the NBC graphic correctly. And then the Premier League weekend finished on Monday with Brentford and Fulham. Brentford are winners 3-2 in that match. So
real quick before we dive in, I got something about that last game.
Okay.
Brentford have not lost in the league since October 23rd.
Wow.
They've gone 12 straight games without loss.
That's pretty good.
That's impressive.
A lot of draws, though, I'm sure.
A lot of draws, yes, but 12 wins without an L.
And to
be
impressive. Well, they were gifted a victory or a draw against Arsenal. I mean, I'm regurgitating what the Premier League match officials said. So they were gifted a draw against Arsenal. So that would have been a loss, but that's still. I mean, that's an impressive run. Like 12. I mean, I think that they've played 13 home games so far this season. I saw this on Twitter today. They've played 13 home games and they've only lost 1 time at home this year. So
was that to you guys?
Yes, that was to Arsenal, and it didn't get brought up because it was an Arsenal statistic. It was just like, oh man, look how good Brentford are at home.
Yeah.
So it didn't even actually say who they lost to at home, but I knew because I know.
Of course you did. Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, Brentford are sneakily strong. I don't want to say sneakily, like they're good. I mean, they have built themselves into legitimate Premier League opposition, and I mean, unless Thomas Frank gets poached by Liverpool in 2 years or something like that, or Chelsea next year or something like that, I
I was waiting for that.
don't see any reason why Brentford shouldn't
You
You
be.
you
mean
don't
you mean you mean Spurs in the summer?
you don't you don't see any reason why they would drop, but you don't see
Okay,
their
you're talking
best
about.
player and highest goal scorer getting suspended for maybe, I don't know, 50 games or so.
All right, so even if they lose Ivan Toney for the rest of this year and all of next year, I still am not convinced that the team lives and dies by Ivan Toney. I'm not convinced of that.
And I'm not convinced he's going to get that strong of a punishment.
Yeah.
There's a dude with over 1,000, like with like 1,200 bets, and homie got like 18 months after the appeal. It was like 2 years. Then it dropped down to 13 months. It dropped down to like basically a year. So I'm not convinced his punishment's going to be that strong. I'm thinking 6 months, 9 months
I mean, they really.
after appeals and all that stuff.
Okay, this whole appeals thing, we got into this in our text message conversation, which we don't need to get into here, but like he pled guilty to a vast majority of these. So I don't understand how you could then appeal a sentence. But again, not getting into it. Yeah, and I think the thing about Brentford is they're going to be in a position where they're comfortably mid-table in the Premier League. They'll be able to go out and get I mean, honestly, like Arsenal have Florian Balogun, who is on loan right now in France, who's tearing up the French league. He's like, I don't know if he's tied with Mbappe for the Golden Boot right now, but he's like up there in the Golden Boot standings in France. If they need a striker, like I don't see why we wouldn't loan him to them for a year. You know, they'll need a striker. He's like, let him get some Premier League experience, and then that delays Arsenal's decision making over him for a year. So I don't know. I'm gonna call up Edu and Thomas Frank and pitch that to both of them. So that's a good idea. Thanks, guys.
Um,
But
With
okay,
that, let's drop into this Arsenal Bournemouth game because like that's a nail biter for no reason.
okay,
Like, didn't you guys score 2 goals in like the last like 10 minutes, or am I wrong?
this game is absurd. This game is absurd. Brentford, or excuse me, Bournemouth. I had to look again. So Bournemouth scored in the 9th second.
That was gangster. That was gangster.
9th second. They kicked the okay. And to be fair, that goal should have been disallowed. If the referee had any spine, they would have disallowed the goal. The Brentford players were encroaching. There were like 3 or 4 players beyond midfield line when the ball was kicked off, and so technically, Bournemouth? What did I say? Did I say Brentford again?
Yes.
Okay.
Bournemouth.
So the Bournemouth players were encroaching. So in theory, that goal should have been chalked off. It was not. Had the result gone a different way, I think there could have been an argument for salty Arsenal fans. But no, they were really good. They were really good in this game. They could have gone up 2-0 in the first half. Rambo had a huge save on a breakaway that saved the game for Arsenal. They scored on a set piece early in the second half to go up 2-0, and things were just not looking good for Arsenal. But then goal scorers in this match for Arsenal, Thomas Partey, Ben White, and Reece Nelson.
Wait, who is the third name?
Reece Nelson. Do you not know who Reece Nelson is?
I do.
Yeah, so Reece Nelson he's just been injured this year. But to be fair,
And every other year?
well, he's been on loan. So last year he was on loan in the Netherlands. The year before that, I think he was maybe on loan in Germany or something like that. He's been on a couple loans here and there. But this dude came on and with his first touch got an assist to Ben White. This goal for Ben White is Ben White's first goal in the Premier League this season, and it takes his tally of goals beyond that of £60 million Richarlison. So good job for Ben White. I had to get that small dig in there. But
That's
But yeah, so I don't know. I'm super hyped. Reese Nelson picks up the rebound on a corner and just volleys it into the far corner in the 96th and 59 second, like 96th minute, 59 seconds. Like, so basically at the very end of the game. If anyone's complaining about added time in this match, 6 minutes were given as the time added on, and Reese Nelson scored in the 97th minute. But in the 90th minute of so in the very first minute of extra time, a Bournemouth player faked an injury for a minute, so they kind of got what was deserved. Our Arsenal were denied at least four. I'm not going to say they were obvious VAR penalties, but you could have seen any number of those given, and no one would bat an eye about it. We had three handballs, and Tamiyasu was kicked. He was going to collect a ball, and he got to the ball first, and so like the ball's in the air. Tamiyasu gets the ball and he controls it, and the Brentford player kicks through the back of his leg, and Tamiyasu goes down. And it's not even like investigated. It's just ignored, and you're like, I'm pretty sure I've seen softer penalties for Manchester City this year given. So it kind of maybe makes you scratch your head. A couple handballs that looked a little iffy. I'm glad Arsenal won so that I don't have to worry about those non-calls, but they were story points, and they do need to get, I guess, brought up in a broad context. But huge result for Arsenal. This is the third time we've won a game in the 90th minute or later this season. So just
Wow.
mentality to never give up, always go for it, is huge. It's huge, especially with the way that City are playing. City just they dismantled. They beat Newcastle, and like it didn't seem difficult at all for them, and they just went about their business and handled Newcastle. And sometimes you play Bournemouth and it's a difficult game, and you have to grind out a victory, and so it's super important to get those 3 points. So I couldn't be happier.
sometimes you go to the Molyneux.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah.
So tell me about that, Sean. Sometimes you go to the Molyneux, and there are some wolves. There's a pack of wolves hunting, right?
Yeah. Brad threw shade earlier. I watched the game and was encouraged. That's that's Sun's probably best game. That's Kulusevski's best game. Both look extremely dangerous. Skip looks like he's continuing his good form. He
He's
just looks really good.
he's a new player. Oliver Skip is a new player
It's
in the
different.
last 2 months.
It that's relieving to know that Bentancur going down doesn't hurt that bad.
It's obviously
Yeah,
it's obviously downgraded, but
obviously a downgrade. Yes,
it's admirable what Skip has been doing.
it's not it's not falling off the cliff going from Bentancur to Skip, which is
Yeah,
the important part.
yeah,
And then you also know that if Hoiberg goes down, we do have Basoma, so that shouldn't be that should be a same level of fall.
yeah.
I believe Basoma is actually injured at this particular moment, but he is there for that reason.
Yeah.
And but Sarr looked good when he played in Europe. But anyways, Poro looked comfortable. He was making good movement up and down the right. He was playing cut games with Kulusevski where he would cut behind. Yeah, they had a lot of good movement over on that right side. Sun played a lot centrally, and definitely looked dangerous. It looked like he got free reign to kind of roam,
Yeah.
and essentially what it looked like to me is that Kane and Son were told to just play around with your positions, just make sure you cover the other one. Where Kane sees Son switch sides, he just goes out to the left. It is kind of how it felt like they were playing. But they were all over Wolves for the first 60 minutes, like all over them, and just couldn't find the back of the net. And then Wolves definitely had their chances, but you know, like I said, sometimes you go to Molyneux and you lose 1-0. Okay, like I'm just encouraged at the way the team played, which I haven't seen in a very long time.
It's certainly not an easy ground to go to. Um, I remember last year Arsenal had to play. They had to grind out a 10-man victory against. That was the game last year where Gabriel Martinelli got 2 yellow cards on the same phase of play, on like the same exact play, and then got sent off. And so we beat Wolves like 10 men. So Molyneux is a difficult place to play. Brad, are you chuckling because you don't think it's as difficult to play as Goodison or something? Or
Oh no, Molyneux is difficult to play in. I'll give him that. Yes, I know. I was looking at the shots. They had 20. Tottenham shot the ball 21 times with 6 on target. Wolves shot the ball 8 times with 5 on target. So it just seems like you guys just missed. I didn't watch the game.
21-6 is not that bad. If we're being completely honest, like converting a third of your shots to being on target seems like it's pretty decent.
Right. It just looks bad when compared to 8-5.
8-5, that's an astronomical
It's amazing
high percentage.
Probably.
Like, that's like 62%, 62.5%.
That's
and I'm guessing
that's also like close misses too. Like they weren't skyrockets. Like
I get
some
it.
of those 21 were actually just barely curled around the corner or something along those lines where Sa just doesn't happen to get a hand to it and it goes wide or off the post or something.
Hits the post because hit the post technically isn't on goal.
Correct. Yeah.
But Oily Arms is the one that got the goal. I didn't see who scored the goal till just now. So Mr. Flexing on him got the goal.
Yes.
Was off a rebound from what I'm seeing. It looks like it was off of a rebound.
The Bash brothers with him and the other jacked new signing that they got, which his name is escaping me.
We're talking about Adama.
I want to say
friends.
I want to say Semedo.
Yes. Nelson.
So I know Semedo. I know Semedo was a new signing. I can't remember if that's the jacked one or not.
I don't think so.
Either way, they signed another guy that's jacked, and now they got a little Bash brother situation going on.
Yeah, Nelson Semedo is a reasonably sized human.
Yeah, but then
unlike Adama Traore.
He played really well too. He had a really good cross that just barely missed finding a foot. That would have opened scoring for them.
Yeah.
And it would have been 2 at that. It would have been 2 eventually, but
Traore is such an enigma, man. Like when he is playing well, he is exceptionally difficult to defend. When he's running at you and he is controlling the ball well, his pace, his strength, his close control is all really, really good. But then he goes on like 3 or 4 month stretches where he's just useless. Where like he has no first touch. He controls the ball. He passes poorly. He's such a strange player in terms of his like just how up and down he is. Because I know you guys were linked to him last January. I think it was Spurs.
Yeah.
Spurs were linked to Adama Traore, and I think
a wing back.
By all accounts, I think everyone would probably agree that it's probably good for Spurs that you didn't sign him in the long run. Because is he really that level? But then he'll go and score the only goal against Spurs, and it's just kind of like leaves you a little bit scratching your head.
Yeah.
But hey, look, man, if you're happy with the loss for Tottenham, I'm happy for a loss for Tottenham.
I think
I'm not happy for a loss. I'm just saying it's encouraging to see the team play better.
Yeah, you are stretching his words there. Because the thing is, I think what you look about
that doesn't happen to me all the time on this podcast.
I think that we treat you with a very open hand, Brad. I think that we're very honest, and we tend to we tend to be very fair towards you.
Sure.
Now, your club, on the other hand, is a steaming pile of refuse. But I feel like we treat you pretty well. Oh man, I had a question about Spurs that I don't remember anymore. Oh well.
Shall we get to the memes?
Yeah, let's.
Hey, do you guys know what the date is today? I know. We record before they release. You guys know the date today?
It's March the 7th.
No. It's March Liverpool 2000 Manchester United 23.
That was really bad.
That's fine. I still went with it. I committed.
I'm sure it would have been better if it was in picture form, because I assume you saw it in a picture, and you're trying to recreate it with words.
I did. Yes. You did. That's for the podcast people.
You did not paint the words very well.
I should have told you to post the picture as I read it for the date.
That that would have been high level video production for our YouTube friends and our YouTube
Facts.
listeners. Maybe one
For
day,
our,
maybe one day this YouTube video will turn into a high quality video production, but today is not that day. But okay, so Anfield, Sunday morning.
and
I'm not really sure what to say about it. Is this just like hangover for United from the League Cup, or is it something more? Is it just like Liverpool took out all their frustrations on Manchester United? Is it just Manchester United versus Liverpool, and anything can happen in that game?
it couldn't be Anfield. It's not home field advantage. We know that, right, Sean?
No.
Yeah, it wasn't that part. I think this was just Liverpool finally like firing on all cylinders for once.
They certainly were. I think it was 2 goals from Nunez, 2 goals from Salah, 2 goals from Gakpo, and and a 7th from Bobby.
Yeah, Bobby Firmino, who just announced he's not returning.
Yeah, he's not going to sign a contract extension.
Yeah.
The thing about this result, though, is it's like, I'm sure that Liverpool fans are hyped, excited. It's a great result for them in the top 4 race. But then they go to Bournemouth this weekend in their next league match, and you could see them losing to Bournemouth, right? Like this team is all over the place. I don't.
Oh yeah.
Liverpool under Jurgen Klopp have no problem getting up for the big matches, for games against Big Six opponents, for Champions League matches, for league, for cup competitions. They are always at it. It's when they're no longer fighting in the league, like, so they're not fighting for the league title. It's kind of like, I think that they fall off a little bit sometimes when they play against lesser opposition.
They definitely played down to their competition.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's the best way of saying it. Like, whatever the competition is, that's what we're going to play to today.
It's certainly the most charitable way to say it. Yeah.
They just never took the foot off the gas. I was watching that thinking they're going to get another one, and then they did, and I'm just thinking immediately they're going to get another one, and then they did, and then they just never passed back. They never
stopped.
07 Barcelona, just pass it around for 30 minutes. No, that would never cross their mind. It was go forward.
And I mean, United is a big rival, so you want to inflict pain on them. Like, and I appreciate that. Like you want to beat them down and be like, like this is we're still bigger than you. We're still better than you. But yeah, I obviously this is a match that Manchester United just forget and they move on. Who do they have this weekend coming up? They play in the Europa League against somebody on Thursday, and then they have Southampton. So, I mean,
they passed Barca already, didn't they?
Yeah, they beat Barca. Yeah. Southampton is an eminently winnable game for United. So, like, even on the crazy Thursday Sunday schedule that you get with the Europa League, it's still, they should have no problem in that match, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, okay. So that's what we had for you guys. Jimmy, I'd love to hear your take on this Liverpool United game in the comments. Yeah.
My boss had a comment.
Okay.
He said I had to say this.
Okay.
Liverpool is on the way back. They're taking top 4. So shout out to Tony. There you go.
Do we think that they're going to finish in the top 4?
They have a game in hand and are 3 points behind. Happy to lose Tottenham.
Do they have to play? Yeah. Liverpool and Tottenham have to play each other again, right?
Yeah. It's at home. For us.
White Hart Lane?
Yeah. We got it was a good chunk of the Big Six that we played at home in the second half, which I was happy about.
Yeah.
Get all the away games done in the fall. I think City was one of the aways for the Big Six in the spring.
Arsenal was sorry.
I think
go for it.
I'll have to check. Go ahead.
I think we need to hold off on this conversation for a little bit, because their next 4 games are Bournemouth, City, Chelsea, Arsenal.
Oh, Liverpool, yeah.
And City and Chelsea are away, at the Etihad and the Bridge, and then they take Arsenal at Anfield. So when they come up against Leeds, they're still punching. Then yes, I think they get to the top 4 by that April 30th match.
I mean, if they win all 4 of their next 4 matches, I think that they've that's I think that they're very much in a good spot.
If,
Okay,
yeah, yeah.
so here's what it was. The first January City game was a makeup. But we had the North London at home, City at home, Chelsea at home, United at home. Liverpool were the one away. So it will be at Anfield late April.
Yeah, that'll be a good one.
So yeah, with regards to that, having United in London, Chelsea in our stadium in London, that's helpful coming down the stretch. I noticed that back in July or August or whatever that we got the easier of the runs.
Yeah, our run-in is terrible. We have to go to City. We have to go to Liverpool. We have to go to St. James's Park and play Newcastle. So I mean, got to play him at some point. So what's up?
Yeah,
Sean,
that's right.
why does it matter where you play? Home field advantage doesn't matter.
We're moving on. Quick update. If you guys are listening to this podcast on Wednesday, there is Champions League football for you tonight. We are going to talk more heavily. We're going to go into the Champions League a little bit more heavily in our news episode tomorrow that you'll receive on Thursday. But Spurs and Milan are playing from White Hart Lane Wednesday evening or Wednesday afternoon, depending on where you are. Spurs need to overturn a 1-0 deficit at the moment. So if they win by a margin of 1 goal, we'll go to extra time. If they win by anything greater than 2 goals, they will advance. So
Be greater than 1 goal. So if they score 2.
Yeah, 2 or greater. Sorry. Yeah, anything greater than 1 goal, 1 goal or less. 1 goal is extra time. Less than 1 goal is they're out.
An L.
So, all right.
Do we want to?
That's it.
Do we want to call that match or no?
No. I don't care to predict it. No.
Okay.
I mean, Giroud hat trick, but I don't care to predict it.
I mean, Ibrahimovic scoring a penalty.
Ibrahimovic is back, so that'll be interesting how he fits into this. If he'll come on as a super sub. So
Yeah,
we'll have to see.
When they get the penalty, we can see if Sean can get subbed on.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so that's all we got for you guys. Thanks so much for listening so far. If definitely want to check back tomorrow, we'll have a news episode for you. Check back on Friday for a preview of match week 27, I guess is what's coming up. If you are new and you're still listening and you're just checking us out, so we would really appreciate it if you would hit that subscribe button, ring the sub notification bell, share it with a friend, do all those things. Drop a comment on YouTube if you're on the podcast site. Definitely hit it with a follow. 5-star review if your platform so allows. And we look forward to seeing you guys for the rest of the week. Check back tomorrow for the news, and we will see you guys. Have a good one.